Smashed canoe at the side of the river, always a good thing to remind you to be safe when you're out here paddling in the wilderness. Because if you lose your boat, you lose your ride out of here. How do you get out of here? All your stuff is lost downriver in your canoe and smashed around a boulder. That's why you don't want to mess around on rivers like this. I carry an inReach satellite texting device on my person at all times, because if I should lose everything, at least I'll have some basic survival tools that will help me if I have to walk out of the bush. And that's a long, long and hard walk. I know when I was on the show alone, I walked for 8 days carrying a heavy pack, eating nothing but wild mushrooms, and I think I had a pound of beef jerky, maybe less actually. So you know, you can do it, but it ain't easy. It's a tough slog, and if you don't know which way you're going, then you can be in a lot of trouble too.
Obviously that last rapid didn't work out for someone so well.
I think that's a grizzly bear. Let's see if we can get a better look at it. A mother bear and 2 cubs, but the wind kept blowing me backwards. All 3 of them were standing up looking at me. It was so cool, but I couldn't get it on camera because of a headwind, which is probably half the reason I saw them, because they couldn't smell me. But I saw them all standing up like this looking at me. There's the big scary grizzly bears. Run away full speed as soon as they see that I'm a human. They're still running. Pretty awesome though. Pretty awesome. If I didn't dump, I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't have seen those. Whole bunch of bird houses there, kind of cool, and they just burrow into the bank. I've seen a lot of them down lower, but I've never seen so many up high. It's like a perfect spot there. It's pretty cool to see. Here we are. Beautiful sight right at a nice tributary. Awesome. And I have officially paddled over 40K today. I made it to my campsite. The desired site, man. 3 braids of this creek coming out. We got 3 different eddies, flat spot for my tent over there. It's about 9:15 at night. So despite all the fiascos of forgetting my camera, dumping and everything, I ended up paddling hard. I saw those grizzly bears, saw a porcupine, but like, you know, it's not really that riveting. And made it to my campsite, which looks like an awesome fishing hole. So I'm super excited. That's probably the best eddy there. Behind the Rockies, the sun is declining. We are the navy who work upon the river. Oh, mountain Yeah, so I tried a few casts, nothing. I don't have much time right now, but I should have caught something in a few casts. And I'm just thinking that the lower portions of the Hess suck for fishing. I mean, I don't really know how else to explain it. Just upriver, not too far. I was hitting up Clearwater tributaries, just bam bam hammering like huge juicy chunky grayling, fat lake trout at every single one. And then a ways down river, it's just like, I don't know, man, there's just not many fish. I've caught in a few grayling at some of the tiny little tributaries, and that's kind of been slim pickings. I will be hitting the Stewart River tomorrow. One more canyon to deal with on the Hess and a rapid, and then we get to the confluence and I'm on a totally different river. The Stewart is much bigger. But anyways, time to set up camp. Looks like my waterproof case is not too waterproof anymore. Yeah, it's pretty soaked. Not the first time this has been sunk into the bottom of a river in the north. Bam! I've had this for maybe 17 years and taken it on every single major expedition with me. I might be finishing this trip ahead of schedule, which is okay as long as I'm, I don't want to rush through everything, but at the same time, when I can make 40K in a day, no problem. I don't really have a lot else to do out here. Okay, so I am gonna have pancakes for dinner tonight, 100%, as long as I don't get rained out. And first things first, I'm gonna saw a bunch of wood and get a fire going. I got this rain moving in on me. Hopefully it buggers off. I don't know. With these two things, you could practically live out here. Folding saw and an axe. I really like this axe because it's super durable, and it's about the size of a Hudson's Bay axe, which is what the Voyageurs used to use. So perfect thing to bring on a trip like this. And it's got a long enough handle that it chops well, but it's short enough that it slips in my bag. A saw will probably get you through wood, get you through logs faster, and is safer, and probably will more quickly get wood ready for the fire. But you can't split it unless you have an axe. And also there's times where an axe is better at chopping and cutting through things. Also, an axe doesn't break. I've been on trips where my saw has broken, and if I didn't have an axe, I'd be in a pretty big doo-doo. One of the things you're restricted to with a Swede saw is that you can't cut anything that's thicker than that. like spruce. Knot on the side. That one. Well, my lighters are all wet. In my survival kit, I have waterproof little match case in there. Bic lighters are waterproof, but they won't work when they're wet. They just have to dry out. So instead of building the fire and then lighting it, sometimes I like to light the kindling and then slowly build the fire around that. I started with a little bit of a loose teepee and then built a log cabin form around that. My 1 to 50 topographic maps. Remaining few kilometers of the trip are pretty much hooped. I think I'm going to just drink the water out of the stream. Usually I don't drink water out of rivers, unless it's just like a mountain runoff stream. This is more of a river, just because things can wash into it. So out of a lake, I'll drink the water out of a lake from the middle, not close to shore. Depends on where you are, of course. But yeah, sometimes giardia is the big worry, and sometimes that'll kind of wash into the river, so you're more likely to get it in the river. Also, giardia, the parasite, sinks. So in a lake, it'll sink where it might be washed around in a river. I'm having pancakes for dinner. Snow's coming down. Staring at the window. Oh my goodness, I think I've used way too much water. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have a lot of pancakes. I'm so hungry to see you like this. Get all the sand and fish grease off my pen. Rain's holding off, thank God. I'm gonna go give that a scrub. That's just nasty. Well, I pushed it pretty late today. It's about 11:30 at night right now. To save some of those raspberries. Oh man, this is good. I think that's about ready for a flip. Boom, look at that. Ooh, maybe a smidge overdone, but that's okay. That's how you flip a pancake. It's all in the perfect cooking fire right now. It'd be nice if I save some of those raspberries today. I toss in here. Alright, that's done. Oh yeah, perfection. That's what I'm talking about.
Man, I should have made more batter in the end.
That's a big pancake. It's a lumberjack pancake right there. That is a big, thick, heavy-duty pancake if I ever saw one. Looking forward to eating it. Oh yeah, she's ready. Oh, this is delicious. That is about it for me today. It's probably about midnight right now. I'm gonna hang out by the fire for a couple more minutes, ditch the food barrel in the woods, and head to bed. Crazy day, great day. Happy to survive it. But wow, today was a real adventure. I had pancakes for dinner, Mom, and you can't stop me. Well, I'm on a sandbar with water on three sides, so I couldn't put my food barrel very far, hoping those rocks would make a noise, scare away the bear, or let me know. Morning, day 9. I'm less than 10 kilometers from the confluence of the Hess and Stewart River, so with any luck, I'll be finished the Hess River today. I have 140 kilometers to go on this trip to get back to Mayo, which is where my float plane charter departed from. Right now I'm on track to, I was going to finish this trip in 15 days, but it looks like I'm going to finish it 3 days earlier, so 12. If I can keep up a pace of about 40K a day roughly. I do have probably about 1,200 meter portage on the Stewart around the falls, 2 rapids on the Stewart, and also almost right away today I have a raging rapid in a canyon that might need to be portaged as the last hurrah of the Hess. I managed to get my 1 to 50 topographic maps dried out by the fire last night, but as you can see, they're not in great shape. Some parts of them are good. I mean, here's where we are now, that part's fine. And there are, of course, some parts, sort of like half of them got ruined by the water, but I'm just gonna switch over to these 1 to 250s. The 1 to 50s are really key when you're in a section where you really need detail because there's a lot of white water around every corner. And now that we're getting to the end of the Hess and on the Stewart River, these 1 to 250,000 maps will be probably easier to navigate with. They're not going to be as precise. I'm not going to know exactly where I am, but I'm going to have a good idea of where I am, and I won't need to flip maps so often because these are 1 to 50,000, these are 1 to 250,000. So I always bring 1 to 250s as backups, and sometimes I keep them in my survival kit as well. A little hole must have gotten ripped in this when I dumped, got scraped on a rock, and the canoe was in the water long enough that enough water got in there to damage the maps. Well, there's a case for only keeping the maps that you're going to need that day in your map case and keeping the rest of them in another dry bag, or even before an intense rapid, just pull your map case off and tuck it in another dry bag. My wife Tori printed these off for me. Thanks, babe. Wish you were here. I'm looking downriver and I can see where the canyon in the next rapid starts, about a click away. That's where I'm paddling to, not very far. Approaching the last rapid on the Hess and the canyon, and I gotta admit, I'm pretty nervous. I don't know what this drop's gonna look like. From here it doesn't look bad, but it's gonna be something. The rapid does cross a contour line on the map here. Probably because of what happened to me yesterday, I'm still a little shook, but anyways, coming right up. Well, so far it looks manageable. Oh man, this is gonna be a brutal portage if I have to portage this thing. Kind of a tricky place to pull over here. No real eddy, just current, nothing to tie up to, in a pretty steep bank. So I pulled the canoe up where I could. Hopefully that won't slide off, but if it did, for insurance, I tied it up around this rock here and gave it a good tug. But you don't want to mess around with this kind of thing. Last canyon and the final rapid on the Hess here. So I'm gonna go scout this one out. As you can see, it would be a horrific portage. No trail, bushwhacking up the side of a cliff and then down on the other side of the canyon. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna stay left, avoid the boulders and the holes and the big stuff. Pretty much just a class 2, but there's some tricky currents, some waves, and a tight turn. And then I'm gonna eddy out behind that boulder because it's a blind corner and I don't know what lies downriver. It could be, I don't know, it could be something more substantial. The only other option is traversing the entire canyon and getting over there and having a look. It might be easier from the other side. So, you know, I could probably still portage if I have to from that eddy. So that's probably the smarter idea, because climbing this canyon and walking along the rim is probably more dangerous than doing that. So yeah, tricky obstruction, some unknowns, but overall good news that it's a runnable rapid here and that it's not a super intense one. This is a chance to, I guess, redeem myself after yesterday. So I'm going to really be focused. I'm not going to be overconfident. I'm going to run that line and I think I should be okay. I'm sure it's going to be bigger than what it looks like from back here. It always is. You know, it looks like a class 2 from here, but by the time I get in those waves, we could have some class 3 waves in there, so we will see. Got a bit of a sun shower all of a sudden. Looks like some storm clouds are moving in though. Here I have, from the scare I got yesterday, still resonating with me. I've run plenty of rapids tougher than this on this trip. Take it slow like that. Keep back ferrying. Nice and slow. Oh, she looks big. She Hey. Definitely want to avoid the right. I'm just avoiding all the big stuff this time. Don't need to be a hero. Taking it real slow. You'll see this big stuff I'm avoiding soon. Okay, there's an eddy there. I don't want to get caught in that. Alright, I see my line. Looks pretty straightforward. Oh yeah. Just avoiding all the big waves in this rapid. Okay. Yes. I gotta catch this eddy here. Next rapid was manageable. Wow, I really managed to dodge the big waves on that one. That's how I should have run the last rapid. I could have just dodged, not everything, but all the top section I could have just dodged. And I think this here is the last rapid on the test. Could be one more and still in the canyon. This is pretty cool running these rapids in the rain. Wow, so cool. Looks like this canyon lasts all the way to the confluence with the Stewart. So the river ends in grand fashion. Wow, it gets even better up here. Wow, this is one of the coolest parts of the river yet. Too bad I didn't go into the last rapid I dumped on with the same attitude as I went into this one on. I was rushing because I thought my camera batteries were going to run out. I'm going to try to run the big stuff to be a hero just to make a good shot. Almost cost me dearly. watching a little mouse. Oh, he just dived under. A little mouse swimming across the river. He's gotten into the eddy. He made it. It's a little mole. He made it. I don't know what the heck that was. A lemming, I guess. Why would a lemming swim across this canyon with all kinds of currents? It actually did a really good job of front faring. And when I got closer, it even ducked under for a bit and then popped back up like so effectively. But anyways, that is pretty cool. See, all wildlife is amazing. Cool thing to see, I guess. Not something you see every day, is a lemming swimming across the river in a canyon. Through the canyon now, and just paddling the last kilometer of the Hess River. You can see the mountains again, and the Stewart is just around the corner. Well, here it is. The confluence of the Stewart and Hess rivers. I have just paddled the Hess River. And now I have 130 kilometers of downstream travel to my endpoint back in the community of Mayo. Bye, Hess River. But the trip's not over yet. Oh man, it was pretty exciting. The rapids were intense, but a lot of them were just fun and manageable enough. The scenery was epic, wildlife, camping, and I got into some good fishing for a few days. In one stretch, the fishing was excellent. Oh, what an adventure. And I'm officially done the Hess. I just soloed the Hess. That's a big freaking accomplishment in my books. Feels great. It ended with a beautiful canyon, awesome river. And in front of me is the mighty Stewart River. I don't know what it has in hold. Looks like the current's not quite as strong here on the Stewart, so that's gonna slow me up a bit, but I'll just have to paddle harder. Look at this burn.